July 4th. I'm Mike Link, M-I-K-E-L-I-N-K.
I'm not going to spill my name. I want to wish everybody happy 4th of July. And we thought it would be a good time to talk about the trip because we've gotten halfway around the lake now. How many miles?
We're at 765 about, somewhere in there.
So it's been quite an adventure. What do you think has been the most challenging?
Most challenging has been my knee. The hardest part for me has been trying to get a good night's sleep because I got an old man's knee that doesn't realize what a great adventure the rest of the body is having and spends nighttime complaining. But I think I got my combination of multi-pills and rubs and everything else in order so we can make the rest of the trip. But that's the challenge from that has come from the surfaces and the fact that so much of what we're doing is based on walking sand where the camber of the beach has caused the right leg to constantly be lower or higher rather than the left leg. And that's put a lot of strain on the knee, which was not good to begin with. So I think actually the challenge has been just the surfaces, the fact that the body has been tweaked and torqued in various ways, and for an old guy it's hard to adjust.
Looking at right behind us here is Pancake Bay. Pancake Bay Provincial Park. I think it's probably the prettiest beach we've seen anywhere on the lake. Up in the far distance is the Row Cap wind farms. We were up there yesterday hiking. Today we hiked in the Goulet Peninsula and Goulet Bay. And every day is an adventure because we're never quite sure what we're going to find. Today we were walking on rocks and climbing cliff edges, and then we were in the water for I don't know how many miles, walking in shallow sand, shallow bay water, and then ended up getting into more of a muck face, and then got back out to the road. How many miles?
That was about 11, a little over 11 miles today. And so a light day in terms of distance, but the biggest thing about measuring a day is not really in the distance, but in what we've encountered along the way. We had to actually climb up some small rock outcrops and cliffs today, and at one point had to go between some big boulders in the water and a slant of bedrock shore with the waves careening in between us, and that was really fun. The light water breaking in around. I got some good pictures of feet going in there, so I enjoyed that.
Okay, so now that you're in Canada and have hiked some of the shore, what is the biggest difference you've noticed between the two shores, the U.S. and Canada?
You know, I think it would be the rocks, eh?
Yeah. If we summarize them with, if we had one word for each shore, it's going to be Wisconsin's going to be clay, Michigan's going to be sand, or cobbles. We try to forget that, but the cobbles, that's the hardest. And here is just rocks. Big rocks, little rocks, bedrock, you name it, it's rocks. This is a hard shore here.
And I think we're getting right, these last 3 days we've actually been lucky and been able to walk on the shoreline, but we know the further west we go, we're going to be getting higher up and further away.
And we're going to get rained on.
Rain, yeah.
Okay, I think we're going to be... So, what was your favorite experience so far along the trail?
My very favorite was walking to Quamanon Bay, right from the mouth of the river, and walking for 5.2 miles in shallow water, clams and snails, lots of little fish darting all over, crayfish, all kinds of stuff, just walking in that. And then the waves washing in there has extraordinary colors to them because of the combination of the sands and the depth and the sun angle, and that, bar none, was my very favorite time of all.
Yeah, I think actually what it comes down to is that we've had the most fun when we've walked in the water. And again, today we were walking and it's kind of like being a kid again, splashing through the big puddles. Even the day that we had to go around the cliffs edges in Michigan, I mean, while it was kind of scary, it was still fun because it was just so completely different.
And it was wonderful to see Kate's expression because of that cold water. And she couldn't say anything because she chose the route. I also think in terms of moving periods, going all the way back to the first week in Wisconsin, we had the otter that was starting to swim in towards shore and then just cruised by us, because an otter will always be a sacred animal and a sacred part of my life. And so that was extraordinary. I love that.
Mm-hmm. And we've had a number of times where sandhill cranes have flown over. They also are very significant birds for us, and we always feel good when we see them flying. You saw some today?
Yes, I did, along the river.
Lucky person.
Yeah.
And yesterday we had a bear that we've now, I think between the three of us, we've seen 4 bear. But this one woofed, and I don't know that I've ever heard the bear's woof. And then it was like he woofed, and then he panicked and ran up into the trees. That was pretty cool.
We haven't had that many days when we've had to walk in the rain. I think I'm keeping track of the number of days that we've walked, and it was raining like it's starting to do right now, where we were really pretty soaked, and I think there's only 3 days like that.
Yeah, but the one that turned to snow counts for about 40.
But otherwise we've been pretty lucky. And Mike was saying the most unique thing was yesterday walking through the wind farm, all those big generators turning. It was really neat.
Yeah, and you just come out of the woods and there's a big generator. You could hear the whoof, woof, woof as you were approaching. Sounds like the bear.
Yeah, maybe the bear's been busy in the wind.
And then, but that was almost surrealistic to have this, look up through a break in the trees and see this big generator.